What's up, you guys? It has been 1 month since I have sat down to film a video. So this feels super weird, but like in a good way though. So I decided to kind of ease myself back into filming again after my trip, that I would start off by just doing a nice casual updated makeup routine for you guys, because you are always asking what I'm wearing on my face in my videos, and I feel like right now is the perfect time because I have been mixing up my products and changing up my routine a little bit lately. I had basically been doing the exact same look and using the exact same techniques in applying my makeup since pretty much last December, and I was just starting to get a little bit bored, honestly. Like I mentioned in a recent video, I've been trying some new foundations recently, so I wanted to share my current favorite. But before we get into it, I want to let you know that everything mentioned in today's video will be linked in the description box as always, and I also want to give a huge thank you to Pat McGrath because they are actually sponsoring today's video. But let's go ahead and get started. So I have been using the new Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection face system from Pat McGrath, so I am going to start off with her face primer. This primer has a really nice way of kind of refining the skin's texture and just kind of diffusing and blurring the skin. It gives like a really nice velvety matte texture without being like too mattifying. Just gives your skin a really nice beautiful texture and base to work with, and it is also formulated with hyaluronic acid to plump the skin. I'm also going to prep my lips now. This is a product I've been using pretty much all year, and I don't think I've talked about it in a video. This is the Rodial Rose Gold Lip Balm. This is a lip oil. I'm not quite sure why they're calling it a lip balm because it's definitely an oil, but I love just applying a little bit of this, like I said, to prep my lips. And of course, next I am going to go in with foundation, and I am also using the Sublime Perfection foundation from Pat McGrath. So I've been using this for about a month now, and I've really been loving it. I currently have the shade Light Medium 13 because I did just go to Florida, so I do have a bit of a tan. I feel like you can kind of tell on camera right now. Usually when I have a tan, I feel like the camera washes me out and you can't even tell, but I do feel like it is noticeable right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and dab this on. And I'm just going to start blending this out with the Beauty Blender. I am matching more to my chest and my body. I do wear makeup, so my face never gets quite as tan as the rest of my body, but this foundation is available in 36 different shades. There's a really great range and a great range of undertones as well. I've been on quite a journey with my makeup routine for the past year and a half or so. You guys know the way I do my makeup has really changed because I used to use a lot of really heavy full coverage products, and last winter I switched to kind of doing my makeup routine in reverse. So I would start off with spot concealing, and I would do my blush and my contour and everything like that, and then I would put a light layer of like a foundation or a BB cushion over top of it, and then gradually I just removed the complexion product altogether. So I've just been spot concealing, and I don't know what it is. It might just be the fact that I've been doing that for so long, but it started to feel tedious and it didn't really feel like a nice easy makeup routine anymore. So I was like, okay, there are so many new foundations coming out right now, let's just kick it back to basics and start doing a light layer of foundation instead. And I've actually really been liking that, and what I like about this foundation is it is really buildable. So you can throw on the lightest layer and it just gives this nice kind of sheer veil over your skin, just kind of lightly perfects everything. Or you can also build it up to more of a medium coverage as well. So I've gone kind of somewhere in between that for today. But a lot of times recently I will honestly just throw on this foundation and then I'll pop on like a little bit of tinted eyebrow gel and I'm done, and I love how simple and easy it is. But I can also use this if I am doing a more complete makeup look. And as you can tell, this foundation has a really beautiful finish on the skin. It's just like a very natural satin skin-like finish. My birthday just passed, for those of you who don't know. I just turned 25, and I feel like every year as I get a little bit older, I'm like, I just want a nice, healthy, youthful look, and I want makeup that looks like skin, and I just want to look like myself, you know what I mean? And obviously you guys know I am very skincare focused, so another thing I love about this foundation is that it is formulated with what Pat McGrath calls their Vita Serum Complex. So it is a foundation that does actually have skincare benefits to fight signs of aging. It's basically meant to boost your production of hyaluronic acid and ceramides, and also kind of preserve your hydrolipidic film, which is your protective barrier on your skin. And this foundation does pretty much set on its own, which I love because I do like to use as little powder as possible. So for the most part, this is pretty much all the coverage I need, but I am going to go in with just a touch of the Too Faced Born This Way Naturally Radiant Concealer. I'm going to mix my two shades. I have my regular light shade and my tan shade. Just doing like a little dot of each, and I am also just going to throw a little bit on this one blemish that I have right now. My skin is very confused right now, to say the least, because I went from super hot, humid Florida weather and then I came back to Edmonton where it is very dry and cold. And we're right at that point of year right now where the weather is really changing and it's becoming a little bit harsher, so my skin is like, what is going on? I'm becoming a little bit dehydrated as a result, so I am trying to keep that in check right now. Let me know if you guys want to see a proper updated skincare routine still. As you guys know, I've been taking a quick break from my 2-month brand review series, so if you guys want to see what I've been using in the interim, then give this video a thumbs up so I know, and I will post that as my next video. For a light contouring and bronzing moment, I have been using the Nude Sticks Nudies All Over Face color in the shade Bondi Bay, and I'm just gonna start drawing this on in the areas you would typically contour. This does look quite warm when you first apply it, but don't worry, when I blend it out, it does take on more of a neutral appearance and looks a little bit more subtle. And I just like to blend this out with a nice dense angled brush. This is the Hourglass Veil foundation brush actually. I mentioned this in a recent video. I really like using an angled brush like this to blend out my contour just because it gives you a bit more control than something like the Beauty Blender. For my blush, I have still been using the Glossier Cloud Paints. Today I'm going to use the shade Dusk, which is their more nude bronze toned blush. And you guys know I just like to pick this up on the round edge of my Beauty Blender, start closer to my temples and work my way in just really lightly for like a nice sheer wash of color. And for my highlight, I've been using the Lila B Glisten and Glow Skin Illuminator. I love the packaging of this. It's kind of like a little like skipping stone almost, and it's magnetic and it slides open like this. This is a cream highlighter. My favorite way to apply products like this is just by tapping my 2 fingers in, and then I just tap it along all of the high points of my face. So I hit the tops of my cheekbones, of course, and you guys know I've always liked to bring a little bit of highlight in here just for like a really dewy look. I also like doing a little bit above my brow and around kind of the tail of my brow and on my temple as well. By the way, I did recently just have my microblading touch-up appointment, so I am in healing phase round 2 now, so I'm not going to be doing anything to my brows today. I mean, at most I would fill in like a couple little areas with pencil and then go in with a tinted brow gel, but I'm really pleased with how they are looking with the microblading. My nose as well. I actually did hybrid brows, so they are a combination of microblading and soft powder ombre. Hit my cupid's bow and also my chin. Alright, now that I've got all my creams and liquids in place, I'm going to go in with just a little touch of powder. And I have been using the Pat McGrath Sublime Perfection powder. I'm using the shade Light Medium 2. And like I said, I just like to set the areas that I really need to set. So I like to go in this area where my smile lines are. I also like to take a tiny bit right around the creases of my nose because that's where I do still get quite oily. And usually just like a tiny little bit in the center of my forehead, and that is honestly it. Like I said, this foundation does pretty much set on its own, so I don't find I need any more than that. I frequently get asked for recommendations for a powder for those of you who do have a drier skin type or just like to powder minimally, and I do really like this powder. I'd highly recommend it. It is super finely milled, so you really don't notice it on the skin. It's never going to look cakey or heavy, and it's just super luxuriously silky. It has a really nice finish. And for my eye area, I am going to go in with the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in Diffuse Light. I take kind of the other edge of my brush and I just kind of lightly press this into my under eye, and I am also going to use this on my lids as well. As you can probably tell, this does have like a very subtle yellow tone to it, so it's just a little bit more brightening for setting the eye area. So like I said, not touching my eyebrows today because they are still healing. I can't get them wet. If they are looking like a little bit flaky or patchy in some areas, that is why. But I am going to go in and prime my lids with a little bit of the classic Urban Decay Primer Potion. I also do have lash extensions at the moment, as I'm sure you have already noticed. I have had these on for a full month now, so they're obviously not looking their best, but honestly for like a month, they still look pretty good. I found a girl that I really like for eyelash extensions, so I'm definitely going to get them redone and try and actually maintain them and keep them filled now. I'll link her Instagram down below if you're in the Edmonton area and you are looking for lash extensions or you just want to go stare at some beautiful lashes. You guys should check her out. Since this is my everyday makeup look, I am going to be doing a very simple eyeshadow look, and I am using the Pat McGrath Mothership palette. I believe this is version 6, and just take a look at this, you guys. It is so So gorgeous. And this palette also has a beautiful high quality beveled mirror in it, which is a really nice touch. So I'm going to start off by taking this matte brown shade on a very fluffy crease brush, and I'm literally just going to lightly tap into the product to start because these eyeshadows are very pigmented and I wanted to start off by building up a nice transition shade. This palette is newer to me than the foundation and the complexion products, and these are the first Pat McGrath eyeshadows I've ever tried. And obviously, I mean, Pat McGrath is known for their exceptional quality, but these eyeshadows have definitely already exceeded my expectations. They have a really interesting texture. Like, they're not that super buttery smooth kind of feel that I think we've kind of come to expect from, you know, like luxury brand eyeshadows. And they're not rough, that's not the right word, but when you touch them to swatch them, they have kind of like a grip to them. So they apply on the eyes really well. They're super pigmented, like I said, and you also don't get fallout, I find, because of that. So truly beautiful quality eyeshadows. Obviously, Pat McGrath is a luxury brand, but I have been very genuinely impressed with everything I've tried thus far. Now I'm going to go in with a slightly smaller crease brush with that same shade, and I'm going to pick up a little bit more just to kind of build the crease a little bit. My eyeshadow is very formulaic. I mean, my whole makeup routine is, but honestly, my eyeshadow does not change. Like, I do 1 to 2 shades in the crease, a shade on the lid, inner corner, a little bit of definition on the lower lash line, which, speaking of the lower lash line, we are going to do the exact same thing we just did on the crease. We're gonna start off with a lighter hand and a slightly fluffier brush. It's just a lot smaller since I'm using it on the lower lash line, and just kind of add a bit of definition. And then I just go in with a pencil brush and apply it a little tighter to my lower lash line. Once again, still just using that same matte brown shade. That's all we've used so far. Then I always like to quickly go in with a brush and kind of just blend out that edge really quickly and diffuse any lines. For the lid, I'm just going to go in with this lighter shade right here and pack that on with a flat shading brush. I'm gonna blend out that edge with my fluffy crease brush again. And just to brighten up the inner corner a little bit, I'm gonna go in with this shade here. It's a similar tone to the color I used on my lids, but it's just a little bit brighter and a little bit more shimmery. So I'm just gonna pop a little bit of that on. And for my lips, I'm going to be using one of the sheer color bombs from Pat McGrath. This is in the shade Sexy. And you guys know I love a tinted lip balm. That's literally all I wear on my lips. And it's definitely a bit more pigmented than some of the other tinted lip balms out there, but as someone who does wear tinted lip balms basically every single day, I like having varying degrees of pigmentation depending on what kind of look I'm going for. It's really hydrating. I've been keeping this in my purse constantly. And then finally, I'm just going to finish off with a spritz of the Fresh Vitamin Nectar Mist. And when I say spritz, I mean I'm going to drench my face in this. I have been avoiding setting sprays while my brows have been healing. Like I said, I'm not really supposed to get them wet, but they're at the point now where I think they're healed enough that a little spritz of setting spray isn't really going to hurt. And that is the finished look. That is what I like to do on the days when I just want to look a little bit more polished. Like I said though, I recently have also just been loving like throwing on a quick layer of the Skin Fetish foundation and just being done with it. And I can do this so quickly, which is so nice, especially now with my brows, and when I do have eyelash extensions as well, I can do this in literally like 15 minutes. But anyways, that is where I'm going to be wrapping up today's video. Don't forget to check out the description box for links to all of the products mentioned today, and check out the new Sublime Perfection products from Pat McGrath. And of course, huge thank you once again to Pat McGrath for sponsoring today's video. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it informative, helpful, interesting, anything like that. Go follow me on social media. I'm at SariReanna on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe down below if you are new, but I will talk to you guys in the next one.